center. Let's meet the reserves and the assistant coaches of both teams. For the Braves of Montezuma, number 00, Matt James. Number 10, Brad Helm. Number 14, Eric Bryan. Number 22, Scott Rabinold. Number 30, T.J. Holbeck. Number 32, Matt Cheney. Number 34, Steve Erickson. Number 42, Nathan Erfer. Number 40, Mark Hasley. Number 54, Chad Stanford. The assistant coaches of the Braves, Mr. Dennis Phelps and Mr. Darrell Brand. And now the non-starters for the Trojans of West Marshall State Center. Number 12, Troy Clark. Number 14, Yako Iho. Number 20, Rod Hoenick. Number 24, Andy Goodman. Number 30, Brian Winkler. Number 34, Troy Cowan. Number 42, Brady Vout. Number 44, Chad Jones. Number 50, Pat Castell. Number 54, Jim Streeter. The assistant coaches of the Trojans, Mr. Ken Winkler and Mr. Ray Conert. The Braves of Montezuma reached this championship game by defeating Goose Lake on Tuesday 59-55 and Postville yesterday 73-66. The Trojans reached this championship game defeating Northwood Kensett on Monday 57-52 and Morris Orange City on Thursday 56-52. And now your starting lineups. For the Braves of Montezuma, 25-0. And the Trojans of West Marshall, 24-1. At forward for the Braves, a 5'9" junior, number 20, Jamie Goring. For the Trojans, a 6'1" junior, number 22, Rod Porter. For the Braves, a 6'6" senior, number 50, Rich Greif. For the Trojans, a 6'3" senior, number 32, Brad Nichols. At center for the Braves, a 6'6" senior, number 52, Jeff Spain. For the Trojans, a 6'4" senior, number 52, Christian Bonesack. At guard for the Braves, a 5'9" senior, number 12, Mike McKegg. For the Trojans, the 6'1" senior, number 10, J.J. Northrup. For the Braves, the 6'2" senior, number 24, Jamie Arndt. For the Trojans, a 6-foot senior, number 40, Brian Preston. The head coach of the Montezuma Braves, Mr. Al Rabinold. And the head coach of the West Marshall Trojans, Mr. James Dose. Ladies and gentlemen, your officials for this championship game. The referee, Mr. Roger Barr of Storm Lake. The umpire, Mr. Pete Hansen of Spencer. The bench official, Mr. Pat Langenberg of Iowa City.
And so it is time for the 1A championship. Montezuma 25-0, West Marshall 24-1. We talked about in the first game Colonesco getting to the state so many times and not winning. In the 80s, Montezuma got to the sub-state 5 times and never even got the trip to state. So this has been a great opportunity for them, and now they are 1 win away from an unbeaten season and winning it all, trying to bring the state championship back to their school for the first time since 1971. Christian Bonesack at 6'4", jumps opposite Rich Greif, who stands 6'6". And the opening tap controlled by the Braves. This is an outstanding guard with it, and Jamie Arndt, a 22-point-a-game scorer. And he dishes it off, and Arndt with the basket, instead of dishing off, keeping it that time, he dishes off and he keeps the ball. He does both, and that's what makes him effective. That time he keeps and scores, and it's the Braves who draw first blood. At the free throw line, Rod Porter ties the score. Porter, the only junior starter for the West Marshall Trojans, ties it at 2. Some pressure at three-quarter court by West Marshall, and a foul, the game's first being called on the Trojans, Brian Preston. Montezuma averages 86 points a game, West Marshall 67, so Montezuma the more up-tempo of the two.
Yeah, the feet got tangled up there. He got right by him, and that's where the whistle came from. Foul with the feet.
McKeag finds Arndt at the top of the circle. Again, it's a double post offense. They look for Greif and Spain down low. It's Greif on the turnaround, and he gets the bounce. And it is a Montezuma lead of a pair at 4-2. 1 minute has been played in the 1A championship game. These teams met in the summer league at a summer camp at Central College. Montezuma won it in double overtime. I would think that we might have one just as close this time. Porter, nice feed inside the Bonesack, and the rebound is claimed by Greif. And you heard Al Rabinold tell us in a halftime interview earlier today he expects a very physical game. The pass intended for Greif, batted away by Brad Nichols, and West Marshall tries to tie it at 4. Or go ahead with a 3, and it won't go, and the rebound is taken down by Arndt. Jamie Arndt, just an outstanding guard. Al Rabinold, in fact, says he is a great guard, one of the best in the state. Open underneath is Spain. He drives, and Greif follows, and Spain tries, and the Twin Towers get 3 cracks at it. Don't get it down, but here's the 4th. It still won't go down, and finally coming out of there is J.J. Northrup.
Boy, what tenacity. 4 times on iron, couldn't get it to go down. That won't happen often, though.
Northrup for 3, and the rebound is chased down by Preston. And Preston off the glass and down. Game is tied up at 4. Well, Montezuma's game plan is to get it to those Twin Towers. Greif and Spain, that time they had plenty of opportunities, just did not get the shot to go down.
The reason I say that won't happen often, when they have 4 shots on iron, nothing going down, this team is averaging 86 points per game. And between those two, Spain and Greif, 29 points between the two.
Whoop. They are 58 and 65% field goal shooters respectively, so when the ball goes in, it rarely doesn't go down. The game's first turnover gives the ball to the Trojans from West Marshall. They try to take their first lead. J.J. Northrup, first-team all-conference quarterback on the football team, is the point guard. A baseline drive by Preston, and a rebound taken down by Greif. And so far, the rebound battle being won by Montezuma. Game tied at 4. 3 minutes have been played in the first quarter. Greif leaves it short, but Spain is there to rebound it in.
Does he get an assist for that, just out of curiosity?
No, but he probably wouldn't mind having one. Montezuma setting up and coming up with a steal. The 2-3 defense, the zone, and it comes up with a steal. The person is Jamie Arndt. Trying to guard Arndt is Brian Preston. There's a great battle of outstanding guards, and the drive by Mike McKegg. The 5'9" senior guard hits for Montezuma, and it's an 8-4 lead for the Braves. The drive by Nichols, and then he kicks it back outside to Northrup. Staying in the 2-3 zone with Montezuma. Wes Marshall's got to be patient, try to swing it from side to side, looking for a seam. Preston, good job, kicking it off to Bonesack for an easy 2. Preston does make some things happen, Mike.
Yes, he does. Bonesack averaging 12.2, and if he can score inside against the pressure of the Twin Towers, Rich Greif and Jeff Spain, that's going to be a big factor in this game. Bonesack again, the interception.
Intended for Greif, as again they try to shove it down low, but Bonesack was alert, and the shot is banked off the glass by Brian Preston. He has 2 early buckets. Preston, an outstanding football player, one of the best running backs in the state, has not yet committed to a college. Here's the lob for Greif, and he hits the soft baseline jumper. Rich Greif with 2 early buckets, the career scoring leader at Montezuma, better than 1,400 career points as he enters his final game for the Braves. As far, both teams shooting extremely well. The shot misfired by Porter, and the rebound by Arndt. Arndt around Preston all the way to the hole. And it is out of bounds, off of Montezuma. It's West Marshall basketball. And the game's first timeout is called with 2:58 to go in the first quarter of play. Montezuma leading West Marshall by a score of 10-8. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
Game of this tournament against Northeast of Goose Lake, winning it by 4, 59-55. Rich Greif scored the first 10 points in the basketball game. This is a spurt basketball team. The unbeaten Montezuma Braves at 25-0.
The Trojans from West Marshall at State Center try to tie it up. This is Northrup working the ball to Nichols. And Arndt almost had a swipe, and the ball will stay in the West Marshall end. Both teams, as you saw, well over 50% from the floor at the outset. And Montezuma stays in the zone as Preston looks to penetrate it. Northrup is clear. And the rebound is claimed offensively by Bonesack. And Bonesack is fouled by Arndt. Jamie Arndt with the first foul called against the Montezuma Braves. Thus far, we're down to the 2:26 mark in the quarter and only 1 foul apiece.
Let's take a look at it with Christian Bonesack going to the iron. Arndt goes with him step for step, and you saw it. He got him on the wrist. And with West Marshall of State Center going to the line, 59% from the free throw line is West Marshall this year. 64% is Montezuma.
Rod Porter getting a breather. And into the lineup for West Marshall, number 34, Troy Cowan. Bonesack 1 out of 2 from the line to pull West Marshall within 1, and here come the Braves leading it by the point. A 3 try by Arndt, yes. Arndt with 5, and Montezuma opens a lead of 4. Just over 2 minutes to play in the first quarter. The jump shot by Nichols. Boom, he scores, and the shooting continues red hot for both ball clubs. The ball deflected by Nichols. He comes up with a steal. Scores at one end, gets back, and makes the play defensively at the other. Preston tries to go right back to Nichols. Beyond three-point range, it's Preston. Certainly a balanced scoring attack by Wes Marshall. And the shot misfires by Preston. Preston, really a bulky guy for a point guard. Usually you see wiry guys, but Preston, as we mentioned, an outstanding football player, 6'2", 202, has to be one of the stronger point guards in the state.
Right, 6 feet even, 202. He's a top-flight running back and all-stater. He really is rather light on his feet. If he has those brick hands, the bricklayer hands, as his head coach, Jim Dose, described it, so be it. But he's got a nice touch to this point of the basketball game.
For 22 in for Montezuma, Scott Rabineau. He is the young son of head coach Al Rabineau. Scott, only a freshman, but seeing action early in this state tournament game. Good defense as they collapse and force the travel. That time, Wes Marshall just swarmed to the basketball, triple-teamed the man with the ball, and it resulted in the turnover.
Third turnover, Montezuma matching the total of Wes Marshall of state centers.
And the Trojans can tie it with a 2 and take the lead with a 3. They go for the 2, and Cowan can't find the range, and the rebound run down by Arndt. Ahead, it is Rabineau. Oh, nice shot. Scott Rabineau connects, and it's a Montezuma lead at 15-11. 52 seconds remain in the first quarter of the 1A championship game. He joined us late. Colonesco won the A title, 62-50 over Boyden Hall. Nice pass in the middle and putting the shot up as Bonesack, and an offensive foul on Bonesack. Tried to get a little extra daylight and pushed off trying to do so. So Montezuma has a chance to take their biggest lead here in the final minute of the first quarter.
Second, four-point lead of the basketball game. Actually, the third. A lot of shot troops coming in now to close down the quarter at the 42nd mark. Montezuma, as you mentioned, has a chance to go up by 7. A huge winning margin for Montezuma through the season, and the margin is 34 points. Can you imagine that in a 25-0 season?
But then they proved that they can win the close ones also, as they knocked off Northeast Community 59-55 in the quarterfinals. The turnaround won't go by Stanford. He follows his own shot and misses, and coming up with a rebound is Preston. Wes Marshall trails by 4 as they hurry up the floor. The rebound is saved by Bonesack. The first quarter clock winds down with Wes Marshall trailing it by 4.
Nobody from the Montezuma starting lineup is in.
The follow shot, no good by Bonesack, and with 2 seconds left to play, it will be Wes Marshall basketball at their end. Number 00 in the lineup for Montezuma is Matt James at 6 foot and 240. They call him the round mound of rebounds. Off the baseline at the horn, the shot won't go by Troy Cowan, and the first quarter is over. That is the end of the first quarter. The score, Montezuma 15, Wes Marshall 11. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
Running the court exceptionally well. I think you said loose was the word, and I think you're right. Let's go back upstairs to Larry.
Boy, judging by the shooting percentages, Mike, I would agree with Ken's analysis. And both teams came in here obviously relaxed and ready to play.
Unlike our first basketball game where we saw Colonesco wrap up the championship, they were a bit tight in the early going, but both these teams are very fluid. And by the way, Montezuma back in with their starting lineup to open quarter number 2.
They did a job of getting them rested the last 40 seconds, so by the time you add that and the time between the quarters and the start of the quarter, it's a nice job by Coach Al Rabineau of resting his starters.
You know,
there's Rabineau, 38-year-old native of Montezuma, played at Montezuma High, played in all 4 sports, and then went to UNI.
I'll point out that's just the 4th foul of this basketball game, and we're inside the second quarter. 3 now whistled on Wes Marshall and 1 on the Montezuma Brave.
And Montezuma brings it up the floor, leading by 4. Again, 4 has equaled their biggest lead. They try to make it more now as Arndt goes baseline. Then he gets it back on top to McKeag inside Spain. Spain his second hoop, and Montezuma their biggest lead.
Montezuma's in a sagging man-to-man defense. They'll drop the off guard into the paint to try to protect from the pass going inside. Wes Marshall on the other side of the coin has been true to a man-to-man defense. This is the sagging man-to-man.
Rod Hornick, number 20, into the lineup now for West Marshall. That was Hornick with the basketball. The three by Porter, and the rebound by Spain. Montezuma tries to make it an 8-point lead, and they do. They really execute the break well, and Greif scores. At that time, they really moved the ball down the floor effectively. Virtually no dribbling.
Very, very fluid. Biggest lead of the basketball game at 8.
And it comes with 6:40 left to play in the second quarter. Montezuma trying to penetrate. The drive by Hornick. And once again, West Marshall just getting one shot. Montezuma doing a very fine job on the boards. Out rebounding teams this year, an average of almost 13 rebounds a game, and a beauty of a drive by Jamie Arndt. And because of the quick start in the quarter, Montezuma goes from a lead of 4 to a lead of 10. And so West Marshall coach Jim Doth will use a timeout. There's a timeout on the floor. Now a word from your local station. The principal and athletic director at Montezuma. Now, he doesn't usually sit on the bench, but Al Rabenold said when Montezuma got to the state tournament, he asked the principal to sit there because Darrell Brand was the coach when Al Rabenold played at Montezuma, and he said they never got to state when he was coaching, and so he wanted him to have the opportunity now. So that's why Brand has been on the bench throughout the state tournament.
Like that touch. Like that touch.
An 8-point run underway for Montezuma. West Marshall using the timeout to try to break it up. The little touch pass, they tried to get the ball in the hands of Bonesack. Didn't work, but West Marshall retains it. 2 minutes into the second quarter, and West Marshall still looking for their first points of the period, and they got him there. A three-pointer by J.J. Northrup, his first bucket of the game.
First three-pointer for West Marshall. And that'll take the steam out of your sails in a hurry because it was a 6-0 run for Montezuma to open the second quarter.
On the season, West Marshall is 41% at three-point range. So is Montezuma. So not really an advantage there for either club, you would think. McKegg works it to the top where the shot is taken by Goring. Jamie Goring connects. The perimeter shooting has been outstanding for the Braves. We talked about them working the ball inside to Spain and Greif, but more of their points have come from the perimeter.
2 of 2 from three-point range is Montezuma.
And again, Montezuma controlling the boards. West Marshall getting a single shot, and then the big guys, Spain and Greif inside, taking care of the rebound. Arndt misfires, and a foul is called on Spain, who that time did not have rebound position and had to go over a couple of white shirts and got caught doing it.
Well, a total of 11 minutes have ticked away in this basketball game, and this is but the second foul for Montezuma. You see Spain over the shoulder. It's his first. 3 have been whistled on West Marshall. Sagging man-to-man for the Braves. Going to clog up the middle.
Taking it to the paint is Spain, misfiring, and the rebound is once again taken down by Montezuma. I should say Bonesack, who missed that last shot. Now here comes McKegg. Gets it inside to Greif. Nice move, and again, that's what Montezuma does so well. Get the ball to the big guys. Greif, a 58% field goal shooter on the year because he gets shots like that.
Good, clean, low-post offense, and then you got the threat from the outside, Jamie Arndt. No wonder they're 25-0.
Nichols misfires, and again, one shot and one shot only for West Marshall, and here comes Montezuma up the floor.
Montezuma leading in rebounds, 14-10.
Would have to think, though, in the last couple of minutes, it's even been a greater advantage. Here's the turnaround by Greif in the lane, and the rebound is taken down by Brad Nichols. Pushing it ahead, Brian Preston. Preston coast to coast, and he has 6 of West Marshall's 16 points. A 10-point lead for the top-ranked Braves. Playing perfectly for the steal is Greif, or rather Spain. Spain that time just in perfect position to pull it down. 3:30 to go, second quarter. Nobody to pass to, so after the spin, Nichols just put it through. He scanned the floor, Mike, didn't see anybody. When in doubt, shoot.
He has 4.
Spain, baseline jumper, good. Spain with 3 buckets, and still a 10-point lead for Montezuma.
You got a feel for the West Marshall State Center, and that is Christian Bonesack for this reason. He is 6 feet and 4. He's fouled here by Jeff Spain, but he's matched up against that low post offense and low post defense, as a matter of fact, of Montezuma. Number 52, Jeff Spain, and number 50, Rich Greif. He gives away 2 inches to the two of them.
A couple of Northern Iowa grads going at it in this one. You just saw Jim Dose on the bench of West Marshall. He went to UNI, played a little baseball there. And Al Rabinol also went to UNI, played freshman football, and didn't go on athletically after that. So a lot of reasons for UNI to be proud. Not only their NCAA victory, but their grads doing well at the boys' state tournament.
How about those Panthers? Meeting Minnesota now, second round of the Southeastern.
Bonesack with 4, West Marshall within 9, 2:58 to go in the first half.
Montezuma, the top scoring team on the 1A field.
McKeag, a baseline pass, and the shot bounces around. It does not go down for Haslick. But the follow is good, and again, hitting the glass, earns Montezuma the 2. And again, in the last several minutes, they've done an excellent job rebounding. Quick baseline move, and the foul is called. Let's see if the shot will count. I believe that it will. Brian Preston thinks that it should, and it will. Art with the foul, his second.
Arendt will get the second. You'll see him try to cut off the baseline drive. Preston cracks into him, and the whistle goes to Jamie Arendt. It's his second. There was a time when you thought of Montezuma and the girls basketball program, and year in and year out, they came to the Sweet 16. Montezuma, the boys team, hasn't been here since 1971, although they've won or shared 5 straight championships in the South Iowa Cedar League.
Montezuma tries to add to a 9-point advantage. Here's Greif banking it home. And Greif already has 10. He averages 18.6. He's the career leader at Montezuma. He's off to a good start in the championship game. We've reached the 2-minute mark in the first half. Porter loses it. Greif comes up with the basketball. Good defensive effort by Montezuma. Now Art leads the charge. The turnaround, nothing but net by Greif. Greif has had a red-hot quarter. He has 12 points, so making 14 points already. The shot from long range won't go. Same story, Mike. It's become this way for the last 6 minutes now.
That's right.
Marshall getting just one shot. Art.
Biggest lead of the game of 13 is now 15.
And again, red-hot shooting and outstanding rebounding. The story for Montezuma, hence a lead of 15 with 1:08 to go before halftime.
Braves are 16 of 23 from the field, Larry.
The pull-up jumper, good by Nichols. He's got 6.
69.5% is Montezuma.
That is incredible. And if you're West Marshall, you got to be saying to yourself, they can't keep this up. They can't have another half like this.
I'm not so sure. When you get the Twin Towers shooting the way they do, high percentage shots, and when you get Arndt on the outside, I don't think that's a fluke.
Brad Nichols with the foul that time, but again, had there not been a foul called, another offensive rebound. So they're doing it defensively and offensively. And here's the round bound of rebounds. Matt James coming into the lineup, and he will take the place of Greif, but a timeout will be taken in the final minute of the second quarter. 43 seconds to play in the second period. It's Montezuma 36 and West Marshall 23. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
3 seconds remaining in the half, and I think this is the first tournament game I've seen this year that nobody's in the bonus coming to the halftime mark. 4 fouls in West Marshall, 4 fouls in Montezuma. They're letting them play, and both teams looking very fluid at this hour.
Boy, direct contrast to the first game when 49 fouls were called in the Class A championship game, one by Colonesco. The 3-point try by Porter, and the rebound is ripped down but taken away And a follow shot put through by Brad Nichols. And Nichols, with 3 baskets in this quarter, has been the major offensive threat for West Marshall. Now an 11-point game. Montezuma with the lead.
All the Montezuma starters are out for the second time in the ball game.
Stanford with his first 2. Chad Stanford, a 6'5" senior. So Al Rabenold trying to get even a little extra rest time and also trying to avoid fouls. And again, nobody in any kind of foul difficulty. Here's the drive. It will not count. Offensive foul. And again, in high school basketball, even if the shot might have counted, say, in a college situation, they just don't count them when there's a charge. So at the horn, James picks up the charge. And on that note, the first half comes to a close. That's the end of the first half with the score of Montezuma 38 and West Marshall 25. We'll be back after this word from your local station.
Tendencies, but it definitely has the sag on the middle, putting pressure on the West Marshall center, who is Christian Bonesack, who has his hands full in the twosome of Rich Greif and Jeff Spain.
And so Al Rabenold, his assistant Denny Phelps, in fact, Phelps in the middle there, a friend of his since kindergarten, and Darrell Brand look on for the Montezuma bench. Now on the West Marshall bench, Jim Dose sends his team back onto the floor as play gets underway in the third quarter, and it's Montezuma by 13 points. Hart takes it to the baseline to get things started, and the rebound is ripped down by Porter for the West Marshall Trojans. Preston kicks it off on the baseline, and the shot rolls out for Brad Nichols. Montezuma with the basketball. Both teams a crack and nothing to show for it to start the third.
Yep, here's the full court pressure now. And you see Preston pressuring the ball, and that's McCaig up the floor. A little dipsy-doodle across the timeline. Preston wins that battle.
And saves it in bounds, but the blue shirts wind up with it, and now it goes out of bounds, and it goes the other way. And the Trojans have a chance to score first in the second half. In the 1A consolations, Morris Orange City over Postville, 86-67. So for Todd Berry and his group in the last 3 years, 2 championships and a third-place finish. Not bad. In that ball game, by the way, Craig Dalma, a state tournament record, 11 three-pointers for Morris Orange City. The baseline shot hit by Bonesack. Bonesack with his second hoop, and West Marshall back to within 11. The lob inside, a little too deep for Greif. Tried to save it in bounds, could not. And West Marshall can cut the deficit to single digits. Here's Porter. The rebound by Arndt. The drive by Arndt, and the undefeated Braves up their lead to 40-27. Arndt with 11 points.
Boy, he's smooth with the basketball. And they handle the ball so well. Very fluid, Montezuma. We're talking about their earlier state tournament performance. That's Preston, Bonesack, and he'll be fouled by Greif. But their earlier performance came in 1971. And as we roll the calendar back some 19 years, that was the year that there were 2 Van Cleves on the girls' team and on the boys' team. And both came to state. And matter of fact, Montezuma had won 2 straight girls' championship, and Sandy Van Cleve was a senior, but they lost it. Down the stretch run.
Bonesack leaves the first free throw short. Montezuma has not yet shot a free throw with this one.
You were just a little boy back then, so I didn't expect you to remember that.
No, of course not.
The name Van Cleve and Montezuma spells basketball.
The drive by Brad Nichols. He's in double figures with 10. And West Marshall back to within 11. McKeag, baseline feed for Spain, and Jeff Spain turns the net over with his 4th bucket. So Montezuma, red hot in the first half from the floor. They're keeping up the assault here in the third quarter. Northrup misfires, and the rebound grabbed by Arndt. Not only is Montezuma hot shooting, but they're getting great shots, like drives, like baseline jumpers. That's why their percentage is so high. They're getting terrific shots. Preston on the coast-to-coast drive, scores for the Trojans. And it's a 42-31 game. Montezuma has led all the way. The game was tied early at 4. West Marshall has never led. McCaig pulls up. Whoever's got the ball is hot, but again, all the shots coming within about 15 feet of the bucket.
Larry, you're absolutely right. That has a lot to do with shot selection, of course, and it's West Marshall's burden to take Montezuma out of its game, but Montezuma's getting the shot it wants, and they're hot enough to prove it. Over 60% at this hour.
Brad Nichols has hit 2 in a row in this quarter. And Nichols having a red-hot shooting night, and it's an 11-point lead for the Braves. Now Art will take a look at the defense. This is Jamie Goring. There's McKegg. Spain flashed across the lane. They didn't get him the ball. They go to the high post right. Art lets fly and scores nothing but net. And it's an unbelievable shooting performance by Montezuma right now.
22 of 35 for the game from Montezuma. My goodness.
They are really scorching the nets. My goodness.
62.8.
Nichols misses his first of the third quarter, and once again Montezuma, and it's a breakaway. McKegg tries to run it down, but getting in the way was J.J. Northrup to break it up. Northrup with a great effort.
Northrup, a terrific athlete, chased the ball down in the foot race with Mike McKegg. And let's take a look at it. Yeah, here's Northrup coming in. He tries to keep the ball alive, and it's good he didn't because McKegg was there to lay it in.
Mark Hasley is coming to the lineup for Montezuma. He'll be in when play resumes, but right now a timeout. We're midway through the third quarter, 4:16 to play. Montezuma leads by 13 with a timeout on the floor. Here's a word from your local station. A 13-point lead over West Marshall midway through the third quarter.
13 points is the lead. That's the biggest spread in this basketball game, and that's the way it was at the halftime break, 38-25, so the pace continues.
And Montezuma really with the edge on the glass right there, the difference in the ball game. And the shooting's been outstanding, but the difference is the rebounding. Off the baseline, McKegg leaves it short, but Greif rebounds. Trying to take it away, Preston, but he runs out of room, and so Montezuma will keep it at their end. With 3:58 to go in the third quarter, and Art, a very talented guard to trigger for Al Rabinold's Montezuma Braves. And it's Hasley out front. Here's Art, who got the ball back after taking it inbounds. He just streaked to that spot on the floor, got the open J, but couldn't convert. Preston into the lane. Rebounds his own shot. And Brian Preston with 12. And West Marshall continues to stay close enough to make a run at some time in this one. They're back to within 11. Foul called on Spain as the rebound was grabbed by West Marshall. So now West Marshall has a chance to cut the deficit down to single digits. Let's take another look.
Here's Aaron from outside, and that's a makeable shot for him. You see the collision after the rebound, and the whistle is blown.
Montezuma's missed 3 shots in a row, Mike. Long time since that's happened. The shot is good by Brad Nichols. He's got 14 points, right at his average already, and still 11-19 to go in the game. Good look at Nichols right there, a 6'3" senior.
And that 13-point lead is down to 9. I was just about to say that Brian Preston has impressed a lot of people this evening, and I know for a fact along press row, he is picking up a lot of all-tournament votes.
Well, he should. He's one of the key reasons that West Marshall got as far as they did. They had to knock off a 2-time state champ to do it. With the foul, Brad Nichols, his third.
That's a tough call on Nichols. That's where you're penalized for your aggressiveness. He was trying to protect the baseline, got a hand in the action, and he gets his third.
Art's inbound. He scored 20 and 15 in the first 2 state tournament games. Has 13 already in this one. Dwight banked it in on the turnaround. What a tournament he's had. 52 points coming into the tournament in 2 games and 16 more tonight early in the third, or fairly late in the third, actually, as we reach the 2:47 mark. Penetrating the middle, Brad Nichols. He continues to have the hot hand for the Trojans. And it's a lead of 9 for Montezuma with 2:35 to go in the third.
Look at the patience in this Montezuma offense.
And that's the reason they've got such high percentage shots and such a high shooting percentage.
Absolutely. We've seen 3 or 4 shots go by already, and they're waiting for just the right one.
They never seem to lose patience. They never seem to take a bad shot. They work it around and get somebody open. A guy like Jeff Spain, who nails it.
There's a lot of talent coming back on this Montezuma team.
From outside, the three by Northrop. His second bucket of the game. Both have been threes. And it's an 8-point Montezuma lead, the closest West Marshall's been in quite a while.
But Montezuma's going to have to shoot 60% down the stretch run because West Marshall of State Center is warming up.
Greif, almost unstoppable, has 18 points. And with the great size inside that Montezuma has, really, West Marshall's hope has to be the perimeter shooting. They're not going to get a lot inside. For two in a row, Northrop from three-point range. Not this time. The rebound is snared by Bonesack, and he is tied up. Ashley doing a good job forcing the jump ball.
West Marshall State Center fans on the far side, the Trojan backers, thought they saw a foul. And it could have been a foul. It depends on how you look at it, but the collision was going both ways, so you let them play.
Pretty close call as Chad Sanford comes into the lineup, replacing Jeff Spain. In this final minute or a little more of a quarter, Al Ravenold has been resting his starters. Again, they're trying to get Northrop open for a three, but this time it's not there, so it goes inside, and the rebound is taken down by Greif. Greif now with 8 rebounds in addition to his 18 points.
Not a bad outing.
You look at all tournament selections, Mike. You know that Greif's a shoe-in. 22 and 30 points in the first 2 games. Double-figure rebounds in both games. He's headed for double-figure rebounds again tonight and already has 18 points.
Greif and Arndt are the shoe-ins for Montezuma. And don't cut out Jeff Spain from the action either.
Stanford off the bench and into the scoring column for the second time. Montezuma's lead now a dozen. Waning moments, third period. Preston, nice dish off. And scoring is Bonesack. Preston makes a lot of things happen for West Marshall. 2 more title games coming up tomorrow night. For 2A, Forest City against Pella Christian. For 3A, City High of Iowa City against Waterloo East. We'll have them both for you right here. Montezuma hopes to stretch a 10-point lead. And if they do it, they'll have to do it at the line. The foul called on Bonesack is second. Only the second foul that's not a shooting foul, and so it will be Montezuma inbounding as Coach Jim Dose off the West Marshall bench signals the defense.
1, 2.
Arndt fires with 2. Arndt a three-pointer in the third quarter. You talk about trying to blunt a comeback try. A three-pointer at the horn gives Montezuma a 13-point lead after 3. Let's take another look at a great finish for Montezuma to end the third period of play.
This is your garden variety basic Larry Bird fall away at the buzzer. And it goes down, and there it goes. We thought 3, but it's going to be 2.
Yeah, his feet were very clearly in front of the 2-point line. The scoreboard chalked it up as 3, but they changed it to 2.
I'd give him 5 for degree of difficulty.
That is the end of the third quarter with a score. Montezuma 57 and West Marshall 44. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
Worth more than 3 points. Montezuma's players were physically getting a little upset with the way that West Marshall kept plugging and plugging. Down here, you could see it in their face. The 3 was worth more than the 3 points, let me tell you. Now let's go back upstairs.
It was a 3. We had little conjecture whether it was a 2 or a 3. It was definitely a 3. And so a 13-point lead for Montezuma to begin the final period. Here's the drive by Arndt. He's still got the hot hand. Inside or outside, Jamie Arndt becoming unstoppable. He now has 18 points. Montezuma assumes their biggest lead. The turnaround by Bonesack won't go. Preston on the follow. And fingertip rebounding by Rich Greif. Oh, what a tournament Greif has had. I just continue to marvel at his performance. Snatching the rebound, Rod Hoenick, who comes in at the timeout to start the final period. Northrop, the three-point shooter for West Marshall, and they need a lot from him down the stretch. They get him open for a 3. Will he convert it? Not this time. And Greif has the rebound.
Into the fourth quarter, 61.9% from the field for Montezuma, and it's going up.
Unbelievable as McKegg connects. Montezuma is just red hot, and they've really been from the outset of the game. But again, it's no accident. They're just getting great shots.
But West Marshall State Center shooting 48% to start the fourth quarter. That's good enough to win just about every ball game.
The three, not good by Nichols. And again, an opportunity for West Marshall. Greif comes up with a block, and a third straight opportunity at it for the Trojans. Coming out and shooting the three is Brad Nichols. He had been hot, but he's cooled off a little bit. And Montezuma is really on a roll. They lead by 17, their biggest of the game. And snatching rebound is Brad Nichols.
That was Greif's 9th rebound, by the way, along the baseline.
18 points, 9 rebounds. Colonesco, the Class A champion. They won the first game tonight, 62-50. They hope that their neighbor from 8 miles away, West Marshall, might also bring a title to that neck of the woods. But Montezuma looks like they have other thoughts in mind. It's Jim Dost making a change. And Bonesack comes back on. Number 22, Rod Porter, also in the lineup. Again, West Marshall really thinking three. Only going for 2 when they can't get a 3 opportunity. And Preston misfires. And Greif now in double figures rebounding for the 3rd game in this tournament. If there ever was a lock on an all-tournament selection, it would have to be Greif.
And the high percentage that comes with his performance, and that of Jeff Spain as well, and Arndt. Credit West Marshall for not backing off, though. They played a pretty solid 3rd quarter.
West Marshall trying to make a comeback, but Montezuma is being so patient offensively, it's really hard to do that. This time they lose it, though. And West Marshall trailing by 17 with 5:02 to play. If they're going to make a comeback, Mike, got to start now.
This is the biggest lead of the basketball game. The Braves leading the Trojans. Here come the Trojans, and they'll be putting the full court press and working the 3-point game, I'm sure, from this point forward.
Preston behind the back to Bonesack, and the foul is called. And I believe they're going to rule an intentional foul. Called on Jamie Goring. Let's check it. No, they did not. Excuse me. He just indicated the chop on the arm, not an intentional foul. He was clearly going for the basketball.
We saw Goring reach in, and the contact after the foul with Greif. Nobody in foul trouble on either side of the ledger.
No, it's been a very clean ball game. It's been a physical game. Coaches predicted that. It's been physical, but it's been clean.
7 fouls have been called on Montezuma, and a total of 6 fouls now on West Marshall.
And Bonesack now in double figures with 10 points. 4:45 left in the championship game for 1A, and Montezuma continuing to run the offense so very well, just getting some great shots. Now they're beginning to spread the floor just a little bit. But again, they're not thinking any kind of a delay. They're still looking to run that offense.
Those free throws were the first 2 points of the quarter for West Marshall of State Center. They're still without a basket after 3 minutes and 40 seconds of the fourth quarter.
Greif misses the baseline jumper, but he has the chance at the line as Bonesack fouls for the 3rd time.
5-2.
West Marshall only 3 fouls in the second half, and only 3 fouls on Montezuma as well. Again, physical, hard played, well played, but clean.
Very, very well played. These 2 teams take care of the basketball, Montezuma and West Marshall. My goodness, they have to take care of the basketball. They come in with a collective mark of 49 victories and 1 loss. And looking for the 1A championship now is Montezuma, making 1 of 2 as Greif from the line. He has 19.
Preston on the drive, can't find the range, but gets his own rebound. He really works. He really works. Northrop for 3. Northrop has 9 in the game, all on 3-pointers. And that is what West Marshall needs to get back in it as they draw to within 13 with just under 4 to go. Inside, it's Spain. And the rebound pulled down by Northrop. A couple of more threes, and suddenly West Marshall's back in it. The three try by Nichols. Yes!
There's a start.
It's a 19-point night for Nichols, and suddenly West Marshall is back in it. After trailing by 17, they're back to within 10.
That's the fourth three-pointer of the game for the Trojans.
And if you're Montezuma at one time leading by 13 and now by only 10, that last 3:20 looks like an eternity because suddenly West Marshall's caught fire. McKay looks to penetrate, but the defense does not allow him to do it. Good defense by Northrop.
You know, with the flashy numbers put up by Arndt and by Greif and by Spain, it might be easy to overlook the contribution of Mike McKay, who plays the off-guard position, but you see him many times on the point. He doesn't mishandle the basketball. He is very careful with the ball.
Hey, we're still out of bounds. Out of bounds, Jerry.
Porter with the foul, and that is only the fourth. Called on West Marshall as Jim Dose, a native of Clinton, a 34-year-old head coach of West Marshall in his fourth year at the school, seeing his team trying to mount a comeback against the Montezuma Braves. West Marshall has never led, but they're not out of it yet. The score is Montezuma 62, West Marshall 52. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment. West Marshall, as they have scored 8 of the last 9 points in the ballgame to pull back to within 10.
There's some three-point numbers. West Marshall will be increasing its attempt level, I'm sure, quite quickly.
On the season, both teams 41% at three-point range, so really not an advantage necessarily unless they get hot. Bryce misfires, and pulling the rebound down is Nichols. So now West Marshall can cut to within 8 with the 2 and 7 with the 3. They'll go for the 3. Northrop. And the long rebound comes right back to West Marshall. Good job of Porter tightroping the sideline to save it. A three-point try left short by Nichols, and a rebound taken down by Spain. Going for the steal, Nichols commits the foul, his fourth.
Well, I'll tell you this, Arndt was trying to get out of heavy traffic. He had 3 in pursuit behind him, and in front of him, Brad Nichols, and I thought Nichols got away with it. I thought that was a clean pocket pick.
Not quite clean enough.
That's right.
Norwest Bank's going to be awarding 2 $500 scholarships in each class to a male and female student athlete or cheerleader during the award ceremony following the ball game to exemplify good sportsmanship, something we have seen plenty of in this tournament. You know, you read about the problems of people rushing the floor in Kansas, marring their state tournament, in Nebraska, marring their girls tournament. You haven't seen anything like that in this tournament. Congratulations to the staff that's run it. So far, just a very clean tournament, and certainly the crowds who come out in great numbers really deserve a round of applause, as does the Iowa High School Athletic Association, for really a well-run tournament.
Yes, and congratulations to Bernie Saga, Mo Kelly, their entire crew, and Boone. The Iowa High School Athletic Association, they run a terrific basketball tournament. And we're seeing a lot of it tonight.
Preston's second foul, sending Jamie Arndt to the line, where he converts on his 19th point and gives Montezuma a lead of 11.
A lot of all-tournament ballots going out for this young man as well.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about that, Mike. And, of course, he'll be on the floor following the ball game to announce the all-tournament team with an assist from Governor Branstad. A travel is called on Nichols. The ball goes back to the Braves with 1:55 left, and Montezuma with a lead of 11.
And full court pressure. They'll have a designated fouler out there to slow up Montezuma, which will take a little air out of the basketball in the final 1:45 of this one. Arndt leads the feet.
And we'll go to the line with a chance at a three-point play. Arndt his 22nd point. Big bucket for Montezuma. They now have the lead grow to 13 and a chance to make it more.
Arndt with the carry up, and Bonesack. I believe it's Bonesack. Yeah, it is. It's his fourth. There you go.
And so Arndt a chance to complete the three-point play and give his team a lead of 14. Jamie Arndt, an outstanding football player. In fact, the first-team All-Stater. Defensive back and wide receiver, so that contact wasn't going to bother him. He's been hit a lot in his life. 23 points now for Arndt. And it's a 14-point lead for Montezuma. So West Marshall made a run, cut it back to 9, but now Montezuma reassumes command. The three by Nichols won't go. Spain all alone. And an intentional foul is ruled this time on Bonesack. Bonesack fouls out on what will be ruled an intentional foul.
Spain was tiptoeing and measuring his steps to the basketball. He wanted to get the jam down, and Bonesack comes in. Whoa!
And so the intentional foul means 2 free throws and a possession for Montezuma.
And that's 5 for Christian Bonesack.
Jeff Spain to the line. Arndt with 23, Reif with 19, and Spain with 10, the leading scorers for Montezuma. That's been the story in the tournament, though. Leading scorer for West Marshall with 17, Brad Nichols.
6 seniors on this Montezuma team, but 3 juniors, 5 sophomores, and a freshman will be returning.
So some frustration in the 80s for Montezuma. Into the sub-state 5 times, didn't make the trip to state, but they made it this far, and now they are 90 seconds away from claiming the 1A championship.
And the lead is 16 points. The reserves will be coming on for Coach Al Rabinold any moment now. He's in his 13th year as head coach, and congratulations to Al and his staff, Dennis Feltz and Darrell Brand, his assistants. And West Marshall at State Center, the Trojans, in their very first state tournament appearance, certainly don't have to leave Betts Auditorium with the head hanging. Congratulations to Rich Greif, boy, the 6'6" senior with 19 points, 10 rebounds. He's done it all.
He really has. And again, for the tournament, just tremendous performances of 22, 30, and 19 scoring, 11, 10, and 10 rebounding. As Al Rabinold, you know, we talked in the first game about Colonesco coming close so many times, losing in the finals 3 times before winning. We just talked about Montezuma coming up in the 80s to the sub-state 5 times and not getting the job done. But Al Rabinold was the one who pointed out, and I mentioned it in the first game, you have to play awfully well to just be in a position to either get to sub-state or in a position to win a championship.
That's right. And out of the South Iowa Cedar League, they've won a share. It is, you mentioned, 5 straight state conference championships that always died in the sub-state.
So tonight, the story is a couple of teams who needed some patience, who got ever so close and couldn't get over the hump. Colonesco got over the hump in the first game, and Montezuma is awfully close to doing that in the second game. With a foul, Andy Goodman, his first, and to the line goes Rich Greif.
That's Brad Nichols leaving. He leaves as the high scorer for the Trojans with 19 points, and he is the 3-point threat on the outside. And so Coach Al Rabinold of the Braves can light up that red Auerbach cigar.
And now he takes Brian Preston out of the lineup. And Brian's athletic career is far from over, but most likely it'll be running the football, where we'll hear from him in the future. He's one of the state's better running backs. And in fact, here's a young man who's probably, as excellent as he's been in this tournament, a better baseball player. So good that the Pro Scouts are keeping an eye on Rich Greif. He's a pitcher, and at 6'6" and 230, I'll bet he can bring it.
Wonder if he needs an agent. Whoa! Arndt.
A nice punctuation for Montezuma on their way to a state championship. The 3 put down by
Troy Clark.
Marshall. We're down to the final 40, as you see on the scoreboard clock. And then Montezuma will commence a big celebration. They won here before, but it was a long time ago, 1971. Jones with a foul. By the way, in 71, that was 2 years after Coach Al Rabinold, who you see right there, had graduated. He said, though, he followed the team. He remembered it well. He said there were a lot of comparisons, really. He said they had a great guard in Jim Casey. They've got one this year or not. A great inside guy in Carl Nichols then. A great inside guy in Rich Greif this year. A lot of parallels, he felt. Also, when that Montezuma team in 71 got to state, they struggled in the quarterfinal. Well, Montezuma this year struggled in the quarterfinal, winning by 4. But certainly, the analogy continues. That Montezuma team finished 26-0, and this Montezuma team's about to do the same thing.
You're absolutely right, Larry. 68-54 in 1971 to win the 1A state championship. Montezuma beats Alta by 14 to win the state title, and they haven't been here since then.
You say 68-54?
Yes.
Look at the scoreboard now, Mike. Awfully close.
70-55 at this hour.
So the comparison continues, doesn't it?
And they beat Northeast Goose Lake this time around by 4, 59-55, and Postville by 7, 73-66. But it's going to be a fur piece here against West Marshall at State Center. McCaig leaves the lineup to a round of applause following his fellow starters.
Al Rabinold now emptying his bench for the final half minute of a Montezuma State Championship. With the basketball is Hasley. Stanford that time got the pass behind him and therefore really never could get a return around in time and pick up the travel. So Montezuma will end an unblemished season and a #1 ranking with a state championship. Matt Cheney now comes to the lineup as Jim Dose has piloted his team a lot further than a lot of people expected. Nobody expected them to be here, really. Everybody thought that Morris Orange City was the championship team from that bracket.
You know how hard it is to get through a basketball season without a loss? Well, Montezuma's about to do it.
He stepped out of bounds, he being Chad Jones, and so for the final 7 seconds, Montezuma with the possession. Number 10 is Brad Helm, and he is fouled immediately. And on the bench, there is the principal, who was the coach when the man on the right, Al Rabinold, was a basketball player in Montezuma. Al Rabinold, the head coach, and the principal, Darrell Brand, being asked to sit on the bench to savor a great moment in Montezuma history.
Montezuma fans are in the countdown.
And in the middle of the two, Dennis Phelps, a friend of the head coach, Al Rabinold, since kindergarten. We're down to the final seconds. And the Montezuma Braves complete a 26-0 season, a state championship for that man, Al Rabinold. Champions with a 73-55 victory over West Marshall. We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment.
Number 1 and 2 Class 1A teams in the state of Iowa this year. 2 members of the Board of Control of the Iowa Boys High School Athletic Association. Eldon Pyle, the superintendent of schools at Olwine, the current chairman of the board. He's assisted by Doug Williams, the superintendent at Gilbert and United Community of Boone. Our runner-up, Class 1A, 1990. Their first trip to state, they got 2 victories here. Had a great season overall. By the way, 2 losses, and both were to state championship teams. So what a great year they've had. If they'd come forward, the Trojans of West Marshall and Coach Jim Dose. Do you Montezuma fans remember 1971? The same thing again. Another perfect season, another state championship. If the Braves would come forward to receive their championship trophy. Ladies and gentlemen, another important part of our state tournament, of course, is the Sportsmanship Award, sponsored by the Iowa Broadcasters Association, the Iowa Newspaper Association, and the Iowa High School Athletic Association. To announce the winner of the Sportsmanship Award, we have with us this evening Darrell Beal, publisher of the Indianola Record and Herald Tribune, representing the Newspaper Association, and representing the Broadcasters of Iowa, Mary Quass, the president of the Iowa Broadcasters Association and president and CEO of KHAK AM and FM stations in Cedar Rapids. Mary Quass.
The Iowa High School Athletic Association has been a nationwide leader in stressing sportsmanship. Again, this year, all 4 classes of the tournament are competing for the prestigious Sportsmanship Award. The award is presented by the Iowa High School Athletic Association, the Iowa Newspaper Association, and the Iowa Broadcasters Association. Judging is by members of the media representing radio, television, and newspapers. And the judging is based on you, the fans, the cheerleaders, the teams on the floor, the coaches, and the bench. And I'm happy to announce the winner is Montezuma.
In addition to the Good Sportsmanship Trophy, the Montezuma School will receive 2 $500 scholarships to be awarded by the school to 1 male and 1 female student, athlete, or cheerleader in any sport. These scholarships are funded by Norwest Bank, Iowa. Would Superintendent Lou Lundy of Montezuma come forward to receive the scholarship award? The Iowa High School Athletic Association, in cooperation with the Bankers Association of Iowa, also present a Student Athlete Achievers Award at our tournament each year. Each of the competing schools in Class 1A have nominated a member of their team for this award. It isn't necessarily the top athlete. It isn't necessarily the top scholar, although it could be either of those. But it's somebody on that squad who has exhibited great leadership, is respected by teammates, by coaches and administrators of the school, and schoolmates. Our winner in Class 1A, I'd like to tell you a little about right now. He's described as very tenacious. He works extremely hard, whether it's in sports practice or in the classroom. He's called a team spokesman. He's called a team unifier. He's a friend of everyone. He's respected by everyone. His principle says, he has the desire to achieve, and this should be the envy of every other young person. And this young man, by the way, in 23 regular season games, saw action in only 10. But you can tell by what I just told you what type of an individual he is and how much he's respected. Our Student Athlete Achiever Award goes to, from Morris, Orange City, Jason Smits. If Jason would come forward, he'll be presented this award. Representing the Iowa Bankers Association is Tom Smith of Marshalltown. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you for the all-tournament team, Mr. Mike Newell. Mike.
Thank you, Mo Kelly. Distributing the all-state honors for Class 1A, Governor of Iowa, Honorable Terry E. Branstad. Governor. The Class 1A all-tournament team. Carson Lansgard, Postville. From State 1A runner-up, West Marshall, Brian Preston. From Morris, Orange City, Craig Dauma. From 1A state champion Montezuma, Jamie Arndt. The 1990 1A captain. From state champion Montezuma, Rich Greif.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great tournament. Please drive carefully on your way home. Thank you very much.
We'll be back at Veterans Auditorium in just a moment. Point in the hole, 62-50, and Montezuma takes West Marshall 73-55. We hope you've enjoyed the telecast of the 1990 Iowa Boys State High School Basketball Tournament. Please join us tomorrow evening at 6:30 for the 2A and 3A title games, featuring Pella Christian against Forest City in 2A and Iowa City City High against Waterloo East in 3A. Our thanks to Mike Newell, Tim Seaman, Ted Tedesco, and John Kelling. This is Larry Morgan saying good night from Veterans Auditorium in Des Moines.
Northwest Bank, Iowa. Come to expect the best. By Monsanto Company, makers of Lasso and Cannon herbicides.